Hi everybody and welcome back. Today what we're going to talk about is when does the rolling of the hands start? Okay, now you guys have seen me saying that. Mr. Hogan's rolling his hands and he's rolling his hands and this is so dynamic, but there is a difference, okay? Most golfers are going to hold the club like this, okay? So what that means, if you can angle it like this, point it at your left hip, that's how most golfers are going to hold this club, okay? They really are. All right. So when you can understand when the rolling of the hand starts, I'm going to show you. Most golfers, like I said, they set up like this, and this is not how Mr. Hogan set up. What he would do is turn his hand like this, come underneath, and a lot of you are like, Chris, that thumb can't go on the left side of the shaft. But you have to remember, Mr. Hogan had the reminder cord, and I am telling you right now, on the reminder cord, that pressure point in the left thumb is on the left side of that reminder cord, whether you want to believe it or not, and I'll show you why. We're here. This way, I grip the club, so all of a sudden I put my hand under like this, I come underneath, and I point it down. Then all of a sudden I take this right hand and I'm like this, okay? So now what this looks like, that's a lot different than this. See how this is at an angle? Most people are like that. But Mr. Hogan is like that. You can see it, guys. There is no denying this is what he looked like. And this is going to take us into another video, the long arm versus short arm, so make sure you look for that. But when you get here and you do this right, the takeaway is like this. See how the hand path has come up and in, and remember me talking about saying it goes up and in, under, and then up? Well, it's really up and in, under, and around. Okay, and I'll show you some videos, and you can look online, and I'll bring them up. Mr. Hogan never lifted his hands up. They were always going around him, and like I said, I'm going to show you in the long arm versus short arm type of video where you can see what I'm talking about. But when we get here and we make this first takeaway move, because now we're really set up like Mr. Hogan is, when you do this and you set your hands and get all this the way that Mr. Hogan did, and we're going to do a video about that too, now you've got all these connections, all of them. So all of a sudden you're like this, and it's a different connection. This is a lot different than what most people do like this. I don't feel everything. So most people, take it down this way, and they're using their hands and they're not using their body. So all of a sudden in this one-piece takeaway, because I'm so connected, remember the video, if we can just start our swing going like this, but we can't go around a golf course doing this all day, so we have to figure out how to lengthen the swing. Well, what he's talking about, when you keep those elbows down and you've got this grip like Mr. Hogan did, it forces the part of the arm, like the tricep and bicep on this side, not on the bottom and not on the top, but it presses this stuff against the sides of my pecs. It's not doing this and feeling the ropes and all that, because look, guys, Gary McCord, there's a video online where Gary McCord was talking, and the people that helped Mr. Hogan write the book, he told them what he was feeling. Ravelli drew the pictures and they wrote the words. And there is a video online with Gary McCord saying, hey, look, I had dinner with Mr. Hogan, and you better believe that to be the truth. And then Mr. Hogan said, look, they wrote the book. I told them what I felt. They drew the pictures. They put the whole thing together, and that was that. And do I believe that to be the truth? Absolutely. Because everything in that book is what Mr. Hogan was feeling. So then you had other people interpreting what he was saying. Then you had Ravelli drawing the pictures off of the feelings and what these guys were saying. And they published the book, 5 Lessons. Okay? And Gary McCord can back that up. And there is a video online that clearly states where Mr. McCord is doing this seminar talking to people, and most of the stuff in that book visually does not match up with what Mr. Hogan was really doing, because he was trying to explain the feels. A lot of you are going to give me hell for that, but guess what? It's the truth, okay? So when you get set up like this and you've got this way everything's done because we're trying to establish this feel, it's like this. Mr. Hogan's elbows were not like this. They just weren't. Everybody's like, get your elbows together and all this stuff. Well, when you do this and you put your hands on the club, most people are like this. There is a difference. Look at my hand position. Mr. Hogan was not like this. He was like this. And now all of a sudden, because he's like this, now when you make this takeaway, you are doing it with your upper body. You are doing it with the back of the shoulder blade on the lead side. And that club in your hands are just following. Because now when that happens, that's the takeaway. Now it's from here where those wrists really start to set, which is what I call roll. And then as you come down, they will continue to roll into the arc as you come through the swing. So the rolling of the hands really starts to begin right here as the hands have moved up and in. They're moving up and in. And then when they get to this point, you guys have heard me talk about the left goes under the right. Okay, so we're like this. They went up and in. Now I'm going under, and then you're going to come around. And I'm going to do a video, long arm versus short arm, that is going to show you what is really going on. But when we can understand, because now we're like this, my arms are not like this, because if they go like this, it moves everything to the front of my body instead of being on the sides. So if I left my arms like this and grip the club, this is what I'm going to look like. You know, pretty much like what Mr. Hogan was. But instead of having them out here, this part of my pec, they are on the sides of my pec. Now I just make this correct grip. And look at the difference. You can see it. It is plain as day. And then it's take the club away with the lead side. Everything gets right here, but I've made no attempt to do anything with my hands. Even though when I've been showing the videos, it happens so fast that once it's like this, the hands are rolling. So it gives the appearance that that Hogan's going like this and that club's rolling. But really it's that first little bit that club is starting in its path, and then when he's working to get these angles and the cups and all these different things, that's where it starts to roll. Then in the downswing, it will unroll because it has to, based on gravity and based on centrifugal force. Okay, so just understand, when the hands really roll, they get to here because the hand has gone up and in, and then all of a sudden it's this set. And when this set, it's not just the hands, the body gets out of the way, and we're going to talk about that in another video too. So just remember, here, get set up like Hogan, guys, and go like this, and you are just going to say, wow, my takeaway has never been better. Because, watch this, here's how most people do the takeaway. Hang on one second, please. Here's how most people do the takeaway. They flip this club inside. But watch this. I'm going to do it Mr. Hogan's way. There we go. See how I'm here? And then all of a sudden, everything's going like this. Then it's going like that. See where I'm at, guys? I am here. I am not here and lifting this club up to the sky. I am here and I am working this club around me that gets me, feels like I'm deeper, and then I'm gonna get to the top, the elbows down, and all the wonderful things that we've talked about. But if I've got these great connections and I make this move, this is where the rolling of the hands start. This is what changes the direction. Even though the elbow is down, it's not down to the ground. It's working on these, like Mr. Hogan said, concentric circles. Those concentric circles are around the body. They start inward and they progress outward. So all of a sudden you're like, oh, that was pretty easy. Now I'm going to roll the hands. Everything's following all these concentric circles all over the place. Now when I'm coming down, here I come. Here it comes. Guess what? The hands will turn down to the arc, and they will put this to where I can remember, like Mr. Hogan said, it feels like I'm pushing through. I'm not pushing through and holding on, but it's here and you're pushing everything through. A lot of people are going to be like, well, it's a pull, it's a push. It doesn't matter what it is. What does matter is when you start to get here, and then that's where you're really going to, after the takeaway, is where the rolling of the hands are going to start. You're going to be in a lot better position. But again, It is the rolling of the club face that made Mr. Hogan say that, wow, when I learned how to roll the club face, I could roll it harder and hit it further and straighter. The harder I rolled the face, the more straighter and further I hit the ball. Now, let me ask you this question, okay? Everybody says, everybody, a lot of people on this thread, they're like, Chris, why don't you just leave the club face square? Why don't you just do this? When you take it back, have that club match up to my spine. Because I'm going to tell you this much. If you have ever seen one of the ball machines where the manufacturers use the ball machine to hit the clubs, to test the clubs, every single one of those ball machines are like right there with the club face, which back in my day, it was always toe up at this position. Okay, and that's how I learned how to do it. But on those machines, it's actually kind of like this. Why? Because on those machines, like the Iron Byron and stuff, if that toe wasn't up and slightly tilted back and it was square to my spine on the takeaway, or bowed, let me show you what that would look like, or if it was bowed, now think about this machine, okay? So if this thing is bowed on this machine, when it comes around in time, it is going to create a weird ball flight for the ball. Guarantee it, guys, because this is a rotational tool. So in order for it to rotate, which is why we were taught toe up back in the day, see where that's at? It's open because it has to rotate, because this is the way the tool was built. But then people want to manipulate things and say, well, let's take the rotation out of this tool and let's make it this, and then let's teach people to, come back here and not release the shot and come around their body. And this is going to be a good way to teach. This tool was built to rotate. Look at it. There's a video online somewhere that's going to show you the Iron Byron, and when you look at it from down the line, that club face is going to be open. At this point right here where the shaft is parallel to the ground, it will be open because it has to be, because it has to close to get back to square to hit the ball, point blank. So just remember, when you get here, just like that machine, you're going to get here. Now is when the rolling starts, because just like that machine, this club face has to open. And when it is open, coming down, it has to close. Basic physics, it's just the way it works. The tool is designed to be rotated. And everybody's like, oh, that rotation is not a good thing, and we got to learn how to take that rotation out of the club. And what do? We teach people to hang on, and they're not trying to rotate this or close the club face down, and everybody hits the ball to the right. It absolutely aggravates me that that's the way it's done. And then all these people are like, oh, I got to get here. Oh, my God, I'm not. No, I'm going to leave it open. Flip. They do all kinds of crazy stuff. Why? Because they are trying. I mean, come on. We all play golf. Most people that play golf, they're pretty intelligent. We're all pretty intelligent as human beings. We make decisions every day. We look at things. We process information. And if the whole world is telling us, let's get this to match up to my spine, let's come through and let's just not turn anything down, and let's just go this way through the shot and then turn the body and come up. Why am I trying to manipulate the way the club was designed? Doesn't work. So now all we've got to realize is, okay, when does the rolling of the hand start? After the takeaway. It's point blank, guys. Hopefully this video is going to help. We'll look for you in the next one.